You're muted, Mr. TJ. You're muted.
Yeah, we can't hear
Hey, I appreciate that, man. I said a whole lot
you.
of stuff there too. But yeah, Happy New Year. We're back. Triple option, 2024 version, new season, week 0
Week
is already
zero.
come and gone. And so we're off and running. As you can see there, Cole from the low, he's in the house. The show is in the house, Brooks Case. And then also Coy is in the building too. And he'll be back with us shortly here. So man, week 0, man. So look. Today is for just notating here, August the 25th, 2024. So let's go ahead and do it. Let's get started. Week 0 has already begun with an upset. Uh, from with a team that involves a team from Atlanta, but this was played in a whole nother country. So, man, Florida State falling to Georgia Tech, gentlemen. Uh, let's go ahead and get our thoughts in on that. What did y'all see? And we'll just start with you, Brooks, and then pass it over to Cole.
Look, as somebody who is a noted Georgia fan, I was rooting for Tech, man. It stems from last season when FSU didn't make the playoffs. All the people opted out. Georgia just manhandled them in the bowl game, and then the fan base they just annoyed me for how they reacted about it. Like take your beating. I realize that none of your players, a lot of your players opted out, but just take your beating, right, and move on. And so that I was kind of rooting for Tech last night, and I like this new coach they have. He's a Saban disciple. I like where he's got this program going, and for me, Tech ran, if I got the numbers in front of me, Tech ran for 190 yards on them on what a lot of people were saying was one of the better defensive lines in the nation. I know they got some transfers in from Bama. So, I mean, that's what I saw. I mean, I saw just Tech manhandle them on the line of scrimmage, and I saw a guy in DJ, who came off a good season from Oregon State and just, he had good accuracy, but he didn't throw the ball downfield. And I look at there was a play in the second half where Haynes King had a wide open receiver, miss it. Tech should have won this by more. I mean, it should have been more than 3 points. I think it could have been like, to me, it could have been double digits. I mean, that's how well Tech played. So, I mean, that's what I took from it. I was impressed by the way the Georgia Tech manhandled the line of scrimmage on what was supposed to be, what was referred to as one of the better, D lines in the country. So that's what I took from it.
My turn.
Yeah, you
Yeah,
good, Cole.
yeah. Go ahead.
Um, First of all, shout out to my boy number 5, Clayton. On that Georgia Tech defense, got to do a penalty with him. Cool dude, shout out to him. But I'm kind of the same side as Mr. Brooks. I automatically went with Georgia Tech. I'm not a Georgia fan. I'm an Alabama fan. But Tech is overall, it's not a bad team. Tech just play good competition and end up getting the shorter hand of the stick. They never been the bad team or even the worst team. Sometimes they give Georgia a good fight in the first half until Georgia takes over. Tech never just been one of them trash or garbage teams. But Florida State, they're a good football team, a talented football team. But I didn't believe in all the hype. We seen what they did when it came to Georgia. Yeah, they got sat out. Yeah, they didn't have their quarterback. Yeah, a lot of them went to the draft. So you knew next year you're gonna have a lot of work to do because you just got manhandled from Georgia. If you're supposed to be number 14, you just got manhandled by Georgia. So your backup, your second crew, your third crew need to be ready to play big boy football. And when it was time to play big boy football against an ACC opponent, they did not step up when they need to be stepped up. Haynes King, not only did he throw the ball, I got the numbers right here. He was a big part of that rushing offense also. He had Jamal Haynes 75 yards rushing, Haynes King 54 yards and 15 carries. So right behind your running back, the quarterback has 20 less yards than a running back. How is that possible? And like Mr. Brooks said, they got to a point where it was more running with everything than it was passing the ball to one of the better D lines. I'm just not sold. I'm not sold with DJ Ugule. I'm not saying he's a bad. I'm not saying he's the worst quarterback in NCAA, but I'm just not sold. On multiple occasions, he went. He was at Clemson. I think he was at another school before he came to Florida State. Now he's at Florida State, and you want me to buy into this quarterback that hasn't shown or competed in two other schools yet? And and when it came down to it, he played great in the first half. But the second half, when it's time to lead a program to a winning game, he did not do it. He did not command a drive. He didn't win a drive. When it was time to show up, Georgia Tech, the underdog, showed up when they needed to show up. So I'm just not sold into Florida State quarterback situation, the defense situation, and I think just to go back to last year, a lot of it shown how it was the quarterback and the defense that kept them in certain games. And after the Georgia game, it showed that your second string, your first string, your third string, they got to show up, and they hadn't shown up yet.
Oh, absolutely, y'all. Corey's in the building. Man, great points there by both of you gentlemen. Um, and wow, y'all going for tech like that. Okay. That's interesting too. But hey, big win there for Georgia Tech. Corey, you out there? And the
I
reason why,
am.
okay, well, welcome. Happy New Year to you. And look, you played linebacker back in our day, and so you can definitely relate to this image right here. Uh, this is a
Old
linebacker, ladies
school,
and gentlemen.
old school, got the horse collar. He got the only thing he's missing is blacked out visor. He got the full chain face mask. Remind me of old. Remember Quentin Coriat and some of those
Yep.
guys.
Yes. Yes. Some old neck rolls and full face man. That's a true throwback right there. At the linebacker position, especially the way the game has shifted in football over the years. We'll get into that one day. And shout out to Nard. What's up, Nard, from the Nard Report?
But no,
Man, I enjoy being live with him too. Uh, and Nard, just FYI, you know, you can hit me up. There's always an open line for people to join the show. That's what makes it unique. So anybody who tunes in, they pretty much have an opportunity to get on live if they want. But we do appreciate you joining in from where you are this morning. All right. All right, gentlemen. So Corey, you want to get your thoughts in on the Florida State Georgia Tech matchup from yesterday?
Historically, quiet as kept. Florida State and Georgia Tech is a historical ACC rivalry ever since Georgia Tech and Florida State. For some reason, somehow, the Florida State Georgia Tech game is actually something that usually is a factor in that side of the conference. So for Florida State to quote unquote whine about a national championship and then come out and only play one half of football, and we say, okay, well, they didn't have their quarterback last year. Well, new year, new team, and you came up short. So as you can see, the vaunted, as Brooks said, the vaunted Florida State defense basically got stalemated. It's, I'm going to say, manhandled by inferior offensive line. Because if you notice in the second half of that game, Tech started taking his shots. Because the first half of the game, it kind of held pat. They score, we score, whatever. And like Brooks said, I agree. It should have been at least one. It should have been a 10 to even maybe a couple more shots. So either Florida State is not as good as they think they are, or Georgia Tech is a lot better than we thought they were going to be. So that's my thoughts on the game, and I'm waiting to see what the next two games hold for those two teams to see which is true.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, it is week zero. It is the first game of the year, uh, and probably the first time they played like some, against another opponent. I don't know what
I
they
get
do.
that. I get that, but on the same token, you have basically all of summer camp to prepare for an opponent. So it goes into, I know people's like, they got to shake the rust off or whatever, but we always forget that you have almost 3 4 weeks to prepare for an opponent, to put your system in, to go ahead and do your scouting, to go ahead and get your stuff tight versus week to week to week. So if you can't prepare 3-4 weeks in advance, what about that coach is gonna make him any good from week to week?
Well, you get an argument here from me about that. But yeah, that's kind of like, that would be the, if you want to call it, the excuse that some people will try to go. I like your point about saying give them a week or two just to kind of let the dust settle a little bit and see where everybody really at for the long haul. But man, what a great start for Georgia Tech, right? To get a victory that way. Um,
Their
to get that type of victory.
their schedule, if you look at this, that's a huge win for them because they got Georgia State, Syracuse, VMI, Louisville, Duke, North Carolina, and the next they don't see a ranked opponent until Notre Dame.
Yeah.
This could be, they could,
Can they make the
could have
playoffs?
that's what I'm saying. Their schedule is really manageable. You talk about that win right there, and all the way till October until you see Notre Dame, and they don't play a ranked team. I mean, this is a chance for this team to make some noise. So they got a good opportunity in front of them.
Yeah. And guys, you all mentioned Florida State too, and your disappointment in them. Well, do you feel like they were properly ranked going into the season at number 10?
I
Yes.
don't.
Okay,
At
we
number
got some
10,
yeses and some nos. Yeah, at number 10. So uh let's go with the no. Corey, why did you say no? Why you think they're not properly rated?
Because when
Well,
I
going into the season.
looking at college football, I always look at it like this team this year is not like the pros. This year's team is not last year's team. They lost a quarterback. They lost a couple players to the draft, right? That's not the same team that quote unquote was number one that should have been in the playoffs, undefeated, whatever, right? And then the last image I have of that team is that Georgia game. Okay. That team I saw last year was not a number 10 team. Maybe a top 20, but I'm sorry, that's not a number 10 team.
Well, okay, but yeah, top 10. I heard a yes there. Who was that? Was that Cole? Was that Brooks?
that
Did y'all
was
both have yeses?
me. I don't know if it's Brooks.
Okay, okay. Cole,
Yeah.
why you say yes? Why you feel like they were top 10 going in?
If we're going off how college football and AP do their rankings, then they're a top 10 team. They went number 5 from last year. They was undefeated until they went to Georgia and got manhandled. They didn't have these. If we're gonna go with this excuse that they didn't have their main guys in. If we're going how college football rank their players, now I'm gonna say this disclaimer: I don't agree with how college football rank their people because your national championship shouldn't the national championship shouldn't winner shouldn't be number 9 when it was just number 1. But if we're going off of the how they rank stuff, then yeah, they properly ranked at 10. And I like a statement that Calvin has said. He said, is Georgia Tech actually that good, or is State? I think he said Florida State a little overrated, and I think it's
Yeah.
a little bit of both. I
Hmm.
don't because we disclaim Georgia Tech so much, mind you. They just wasn't an underdog. They was an underdog. Everybody on college literally chose Florida State except for Seamus. And Seamus is from the WWE. And he literally said he went with his heart and chose Georgia Tech. So I
Yeah.
think it's both. Florida State, yes, is a little overrated because one thing about college football, you can have teams out of nowhere. Now, Florida State has never been like bad. I remember like back when I was younger, they was really
Hmm.
that team, national championship. But as of right now, Florida State is just one of them teams that pop out of the woodworks, go lose some games, pop up out of the woodworks, go lose some games. And I think that's how this season gonna be. They're gonna lose more games showing to Georgia Tech. Georgia Tech just beat the number 10 ranked team in the country. But overall, I do think they're properly ranked, and I think as the season go down, they will keep being properly ranked by keep going down.
Let
Yeah.
me tell you, I'm gonna tell you like the great Rick Pitino said. Mark, Rick, Mickey, and Bobby ain't coming through that door. Florida State is just a team. Those references you probably don't know anything about, Kobe.
He did say. He also said Tim Duncan. Who was it? Or Larry Bird or somebody went walking through that door one day. If you remember
Yeah,
that one too, Corey. But yeah, that's great, man.
I
So
think he said Kevin McHale or something like that.
yeah, they're not walking through that door. Yeah, you got Tony Belt. But hey, so with that said, gentlemen, we're gonna kind of move on to the next game. And wow, what a game here, man! I was semi interested in this one, and what really piqued my interest was the FCS program was favored to win this game. So when I'm sitting there watching it, I'm watching it before without even really realizing the spread. I'm thinking, well, yeah, Montana State, well, they could pull the upset here. They're playing the right opponent, and they could pull an upset and win it and beat the FBS team. But then once I realized that that they were actually the favorite, I was like, whoa, this is gonna be an upset the other way around. But man, this was a crazy game. Montana State, they win. They beat New Mexico. It was a road victory for Montana State. They win 35-31. Uh, did anybody get a chance to take a look at this one? And if so, give me your thoughts.
I mean, Montana State's. I mean, I actually know somebody who graduated from there. That's a good program, man. I mean,
Hmm.
and I think what this tells me is, these top level FCS programs, the distance between them and a lower level, you know, D1 program, I don't think there's much. You look at these teams like North Dakota State, these powerhouses. I think they can compete with some of these lower level teams, and that's what I mean. I wasn't shocked at all. I mean, I'm kind of familiar with this program. It's a good program. Both Montana and Montana
Yeah,
State both have really good football teams.
right.
So I wasn't surprised at all.
Oh yeah, and I think it's San Diego. It's another team, Sacramento State. They're pretty good too. I think they could
Yep.
beat pretty much anybody. They may even make the move like James Madison did, switching from FCS to FBS one day.
It's
Um,
it's
but yeah, it was.
it's
I mean, they look like both teams look the same. I mean, when you can play the right opponent, and plus if you don't have to play week in and week out, I think attrition. You don't have to worry about the battle of attrition throughout the season.
I mean, the
Um,
Falcons drafted one of their linebackers a couple seasons ago.
yeah,
They have talent. So
yeah, absolutely. But yeah, it was a interesting game there. Adam Jones with a big run in that game. Adam Jones had a huge run in that game to kind of prevent the upset because without that 93-yard touchdown, that quick strike, there may not have been enough time left in the game for Montana State to pull that off. But a
right.
good victory there. Corey, you played the FCS program. What do you think about FCS football?
okay. I think my opinion is we're seeing the evolution of kind of like what we see with mid majors in college basketball
Hmm.
because of the transfer portals and the kids are moving so much. These smaller programs, well, these Division 1 AA. I'm going because it's easy to roll off my tongue that way. They can keep their talent and nurture their talent to where they're playing with juniors, seniors that's been in the program versus where you have the big schools where quote unquote if I'm that guy and I don't get to start, I'm jumping from jumping to jumping, that you're gonna see more upsets in the future than you will see than you've seen in the past just because of these programs are not as stable as the bigger programs are not as stable as they used to be. So you might have a Montana State, Montana, and some of these smaller 1 AA teams get their players in there, get a transfer in there, and they have talent they nurture. Because as of right now, every kid that don't start in the big programs are automatically leaving.
Yep, great points. And that's where the trend is there, man. And I think style of play helps too, because when I'm watching the game, is even though some schools obviously when you get to the upper echelon end of things, the size really matters. But if you play the right opponent, you kind of like size and everything. And most
Well,
of these games are kind of spread out football, kind of spread offense
I was about to say
style.
that the spread offense
Yeah,
is one of the biggest equalizers in um in college football right now.
yeah, yeah. Totally
So
agree with that.
so what happens is So what happens is that the event of the spread makes it so that you can take a team that quote unquote have smaller players, and you can spread, and you can actually open up a defense by spreading the defense out, make the reads a little bit easier, and
Hmm.
you might have a fighting chance. No, on any given Sunday, I mean any given Saturday, if you go line up pro style man against man, these teams probably won't be as effective. But with the advent of the spread offenses, they've been able to take their shots because that's a
Yeah,
lot. I mean, because that's if
yeah,
you notice most of the teams, even when Cam was at Auburn, different type of player, different type of talent level. But what Auburn did was they put Cam in a spread and just let him make simple reads and be athletic. Now, and that's the biggest evolution of college football. The problem comes in when you get teams of the ilk of Alabama, Georgia, Michigan with Harbaugh that actually play pro style offense and pro style with pro athletes.
yeah.
It gets harder for the spread to exist. It's almost like I remember back when I was in college when we played teams that had played the wishbone or the wing team, whatever, just option teams. You literally
Right.
had to change your whole mindset of how your team has been. For your changes, you basically go back to basics: reads, keys, all that stuff, and it it
Hmm.
it, it changes your gameplay and it changes your mentality of your defense, and you're kind of put on equal footing because even though you're more talented, you're faster, whatever, one misread, boom. Next thing you know, it's a whole game. So
Yeah, when Georgia used to play the Paul Johnson coached Georgia Tech teams, I was always a little fearful because it's
Yeah,
just so you don't. It's hard. It's just a totally different thing you have to prepare for, and it takes so much discipline. You can't just let your athletes on defense kind of roam free. It takes discipline to play defense against that style, and I was always scared of that. Going from all these pro style SEC offenses, and then boom, you get Tech at the end of the season. I mean, those games scared me, man. So I definitely, there's offenses like that can definitely even the playing field. I agree.
oh yeah, totally. And guess what? It's when they come in and run this, the triple option. You know what I mean? That you know that that is the game changer. It's a change of pace, man. So yeah, teams that do that, Navy, was it Navy or Army? They come
all the
in,
all
play that
all the
style of
Yeah,
ball.
all the service, the service
Yeah,
programs,
Air Force.
yeah, Air Force, yeah,
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 and every year one of those schools find a victim that we all looking like, did they really?
yeah. I
And
mean,
you
it's kind
got
of
that,
like
and
this
it
too.
goes back to that you only got a week of prep because you can't
Yeah,
prep.
Yeah, I
that's
mean,
right.
and to go back, that's what makes it even kind of
You
more
go,
impressive with what Georgia Tech is doing. It takes a lot to transition your program out of that. That's one of the kind of the downsides is you
Hmm.
you build
right.
you build your team around it, and now credit to Georgia Tech's coach who's turned it around. Actually, got the pro style offense going, and he's turned that roster on because it takes a lot to get away from that too.
Yeah,
Hmm.
that's a great point because yeah, Georgia Tech was running that style of football for years and years. But yeah, so excellent job there, gentlemen. We're going to stay in there with the FCS lane. Uh, Delaware State, they had some difficulties getting over to Hawaii. They had some travel issues and missed out on their direct flight, but they finally did get over there to Hawaii. And look, Delaware State was a 40.5 point underdog. So for them to fall short to Hawaii 35-14, it's got to be a win for them. Um, to cover to make sure they covered, and that's good for them. And man, traveling, man, that to go to Hawaii, that's a 10-hour flight, I would think, straight shot. And I guess what they really were trying to do is make sure they avoid any kind of layovers, and having to switch planes and do all that stuff. So, but shout out to them. I think they were paid 900 plus grand to go out there. So that will help help with their program a little bit. So that's good there. And let's go to. Oh, by the way, before we do that, Corey, would you like to have played in Hawaii let's say when you was at Furman?
When I was a kid, yes. As an adult, to know what Hawaii is basically a cesspool, no. Would I like to have visit and played like at one of the bowl games or a one-off trip that's basically a vacation? Yes. But as adult and really realize the state of Hawaii is kind of a cesspool, no.
Oh
Would I
my
like to
goodness.
live in Hawaii and play?
Cost,
No. But
cost of
would I like
living's
to visit?
insane there.
Yeah, that too.
Yeah, cost of living. Yeah, I mean that. I know that's boy. Whew.
And when I
Anyway,
was a kid, yes. When I was a young guy, all I thought was pineapples and girls in grass skirts. So yes, back then, yes.
all
I,
right.
I
All
connect
right.
this. I have a connection to Hawaii. The only bowl game I got tickets to as a student was the Sugar Bowl when Georgia faced that undefeated Hawaii team. I believe it was Colt
Oh
Brennan.
yeah,
That was
Cole Brennan.
that was one of the bigger ass whoopings I've ever watched in person. Like that was we absolutely manhandled them. I mean I could have left at halftime of that game. That was insane. So
Yeah. Oh man, I remember when June Jones was running shoot. He took that run and shoot over there, and that was their gimmick was to put up points that way. All right, so we're going to look ahead in just a moment here because week 0 I'm gonna give everybody an opportunity to give me what they're looking forward to, what they expect of their team, your respective teams moving forward too. But before we do that, we're still going to stay in the FCS realm. Florida A&M in Atlanta last night on ABC, 8 p.m. They continued the streak for the SWAC conference, Southwest Atlantic Conference. Their streak, I think, is like 3 years in a row now, of winning this matchup versus the MEAC conference. They defeat Norfolk State, team out of Virginia, and it was 20. The score was 24-23. MVP was Daniel Richardson. Man, 5'10". He was slinging the ball around after a slow start. As you can see there, 286, 3 TDs. So Florida A&M is the defending national champions for HBCU sports, and they're looking like they're on track again. It looks like they're reloading. Their receivers look good. They keep a streak of having at least an NFL receiver, um, on their roster and a defensive player on their roster. They're looking like they're reloaded. They're playing well. But here, Norfolk State, they have nothing to hold their heads down about. Last season, you can see it right there. Look how many losses those are. Close losses. And they had several losses by 1 point. And ironically, that's what they had last night. So there was a point in the game where Norfolk State scored late and the extra point was blocked, but there was an offsides penalty on Florida A&M. And so then the coach made a decision because now you're at the 1.5 yard line. Do you go for two, take the lead, or just kick the field goal and have a 24-24 tie with maybe 2-3 minutes left in the game? Gentlemen, I want you to put your coach's hat on. What would you have done? Because what they ended up doing was going for it and didn't get it. So what would you have done? Down one, opportunity to tie the game, you know, So what would you have done as a coach? What would
Can,
you have done,
N-
Brooks?
can you
New,
read the scenario again?
Oh,
I
the
mean,
scenario? Oh, okay. Real quick, Bruce, I'm gonna give Kobe the scenario. You
okay.
score a late touchdown, you have an opportunity to tie the game at 24 with the extra point. They had an extra point attempt, it was blocked. However, there was a flag on the play, Florida A&M was offsides. So now the ball is moved to the 1.5 yard line. Norfolk State has a decision to make. Are they gonna go for two and take the lead or kick the one and just tie the game at 24? They ended up going for it, and on the RPO, play, they was stuffed. It didn't even look like they was in sync there. So therefore, they're down one. Florida A&M is up, going down, running out the clock, game over. What would you have done as a coach? And we'll pass it back to Brooks.
Yeah, I mean, to me, first game of the season, that's too risky. First game of the season, kick the field goal, tie it up. go to overtime. Like it's just, certain scenarios I can see it. If you're an underdog and if you're an underdog and it's late in the season and you got opportunity to beat, upset somebody, those are kind of scenarios where I'm like, okay, I get it. Especially in college where, it's such a shorter season and losses can kill you as far as like the playoffs and your conference standings. So I'm just first game of the season. It's just I just don't see it. I don't see why you make that move.
All right, good points. Good points. Cole, I think you trying to answer that one.
Yeah, as a coach, I'm just kicking field goal. It's a block extra point. I got an offsides. So in my head, I'm gonna say that offside was like a big reason that we probably got a block punt or throwing me off. If I'm that close, I'm not gonna try to win the game. We already been in the dog fight. If I can go for 2, I wouldn't be in the dog fight right now. I'm trying to win the game. So I'm just gonna kick the field goal, take it overtime, and dog it out. Then my guys, who got more heart, who's better in the overtime situation. Just going like Mr. Brooks said early in the season, where wins actually matter and it counts late in the season when you already know what you kind of got going on. You just kick the field goal, go to overtime. At least you can go to overtime and say, hey, we lost because this, and this, instead of a bad coaching decision as we can go to NFL, Dan Campbell with the Lions in the 49ers game. You go into that situation. If I make this call, then I can turn it around. You know what I'm saying? So I just kick the field goal, take it to overtime.
Yep. Corey, you still out there?
Yes, sir. All right. 3 minutes ago, it was neutral site game, right?
Correct. It was played in Atlanta. Actually played at Georgia State's stadium.
Yeah. To me, neutral site game, momentum back and forth. Do we have the hot hand? Is that team susceptible to the read option? If you don't, kick the field goal would probably be my first instinct and play defense, but it also depends on what my defense has been doing against that offense. Do I think? Well, it don't even matter. So no, kick the field goal.
Yeah.
It don't even matter because
it doesn't matter, but at the same time, you wouldn't be in a dogfight right now.
Also, you got to remember, if you think about sometimes in the NFL, you can lose in overtime without even getting the ball, right?
You can.
The college football, at least. The college football, at least both teams are going to get the ball. So I take that into account too. You're going to get the ball in overtime.
But I'm with
regular season, right?
Overtime.
Yeah. I think they should have kicked the field goal. This is the game was kind of back and forth. Norfolk State started off running well, actually, and controlling the line of scrimmage, and then Floyd and them got it going. But still, Norfolk State bounced back later on in the game, so it was kind of back and forth, kind of ebb and flow. Kick it, stop them, overtime. Maybe you stop them, keep the pressure on them, because now the pressure's back is now on them to have to do something. Because if they have to punt the ball away, you can come down and kick a field goal late and win the game. So I think he just kind of. I see what I get why he went for it. Just kind of showing, hey, this is the kind of attitudes we're gonna have this season. But at the same time, I think he took away that opportunity for that game to be extended. Shout out to Hot Tub Tony. He says, "What up, everybody?" Big shout out to Hot Tub.
Read option though.
Yeah, the play call was. I didn't agree with the play call though at all.
A read option. You don't have a boot or a waggle or something.
Yeah.
Something. Come on, you read option.
Yeah, the play was.
You're not even utilizing the yardage you gained from the penalty. Like
exactly. Yeah. Right.
Personally, fullback dive.
Right.
Sweet.
Pound that thing in there.
You don't believe you. For the read option tells me you don't believe in your front five.
Yeah.
So
there you go.
So therefore,
you don't believe in your front six because that's how it is.
Yeah,
pretty much.
Yeah. 1.5 yard line.
But yeah, you just don't do that. Like compared to NFL, I can kind of see you doing it because you can still get in playoffs. College, you lose one game, you might as well go ahead and just consider yourself a loser. Like back again,
Man.
like college rankings, I'm saying it now. I'm gonna continue to say it. I do not
Uh-oh.
12-team rankings.
All right. Hey, we're gonna look ahead here in just a second. I want to get you guys thoughts on the upcoming season, because we're gonna be here throughout the season, reviewing each week. But look ahead to this as well. Fun walk for autism awareness, 4-1 Sportswear. It's gonna be Saturday, September 14th. You can go to the website, 41sportswear.org. If you can attend, great. If you can't, you can still order a shirt. It's a beautiful shirt. It's on the website. You can order the shirt and support that way. Love to see you come out. Vendors are welcome as well. So make sure you check us out. Go to the website there, www.411sportswear.org. Looking ahead to that event, but also looking ahead to the college football season. I know we have a Georgia fans here, Bama fans on here, and whoever else. I think Hot Tub Tony's a big UGA fan. Not sure who Nars team is, Cole, but you can let me know about that, or if he's more of a pro guy. But gentlemen, give me your thoughts on what to look forward to for this college football season, and in particular, if y'all don't mind, start with that North Dakota State, Colorado, and then we can go from there because North Dakota State and Colorado is Thursday night. And okay, I'll just pass it over.
Good pick
Brooks,
to
kick us off,
test.
Brooks. Oh, what was that? Coy? Is that Coy?
Yeah, yeah, that's me.
Okay, kick us
A
off.
good pick for Colorado to start chapter 2 of the Sanders, whatever he's got going on up there. The North Dakota State team they should beat, but should be a very game opponent that's good enough, well, coached well enough that I can possibly beat them. So we'll get a good idea of what the offseason meant for the Colorado Buffs. We're going to be able to see whether, me particularly, I'm going to look at the front nine, offensive defensive linemen, see if they made the improvements that quote unquote they supposedly work off season and through the portal and um, recruiting. We're gonna see if they actually or they're the same team that we had last year with a whole bunch of skilled players, but cannot man up in the front on the line of scrimmage.
All right, all right, Brooks. What you looking forward to?
Oh man, looking forward to watching Shador Sanders. He's one of the top quarterbacks, prospects in the nation. So looking forward to see what he does this year in Colorado. Missouri plays on Thursday too, and I think from an SEC's perspective, I think they're coming under the radar a little bit, especially given their schedule. I think this is a team that could definitely make the playoffs. So I'm definitely interested in watching them Thursday night as well. They play Murray State. But in general, I'm just looking forward to the SEC. No divisions. You add Texas and Oklahoma. I want to see how they handle an SEC schedule. I think Texas is built for it. Not sure if Oklahoma is, especially their schedule. Their schedule's brutal.
That's one thing
So,
that was one thing I wanted to get into. No divisions. How do y'all feel
Yeah,
about that?
yeah,
I like it because I especially going into the playoff, this 12-team playoff. If you make the SEC championship game with no divisions, to me that's a statement. I think that carries merit when you don't have
But
divisions, and so I think
but because of the size of the conference now, since you don't have divisions, right?
yep,
Everybody. So at least when we had the East and the West, we had your games that everybody on the West had to play, and games on the East that everybody had to play, basically in a conference game. I mean,
right,
right
right,
now you could get the luck of the draw and have a paddle puff schedule. There's only the only like
sure,
for instance, there's going to be the natural rivals. So you're going to have Georgia, Florida, Alabama, Auburn, Alabama, Tennessee. Are they keeping LSU, Florida, which was a raw deal on both of them? So I'm assuming you're going to have the rivalries of okay, Oklahoma, Texas. I'm sure that's going to be a built-in rivalry every year, right?
Sure.
Ole Miss, Mississippi State. Who gives a shit?
Right.
Bama,
It's the Egg Bowl,
Always
man.
entertaining. Always entertaining, though.
That's the Egg Bowl.
I don't care what y'all
Bama and Georgia, and then the new one that's
Nah,
gonna come into play.
Bama and Georgia is not a natural cross. It's Auburn and Georgia.
Bro,
So
I'm saying Bama and Georgia gonna be one now because they play in the season.
but they don't have to play every year. It's just there's only I'm pointing out all the games that are going to be
every year. That's how they play it now.
No, you make a good point. There's going to be schedule imbalances.
right.
And I agree. That's what I was saying. Like you look at a team like Missouri, and you look at their schedule as compared to like Oklahoma, Georgia,
Or
Bama,
Florida,
Texas. I mean,
Florida has a schedule that they got a dog walk. Florida,
Good luck for them. Yeah.
this might be my man's last year over there.
Yeah.
Yeah.
If Florida can come out that season with only 2 losses, that's a winning season for them. That is a successful season. I don't care they don't make the playoffs or whatever. If they come out that season with only 2 losses, that's a winning season for them. That
ain't happening.
Yeah, that's brutal, man. But yeah, it won't be a balanced schedule. So there's going to be times where you're going to hear hey, this team won. They made it because they didn't have to face Alabama and Georgia this season, or they didn't have to face Texas and Oklahoma like we did. You know what I'm saying? So I guess that would be one of the things. I did like the East. I did like the East and West because you did have something that you could race for. Kind of like a race for your division, and then kind of get there. But
I mean,
we'll see.
You still had it with the East and the West. Think back in the day when it was Bama, LSU.
Yeah.
A lot of times the West was really loaded. Auburn had really good years. I mean, it still existed with the East and the West because there were times where I thought the East was just did not have the talent that the West had. So
but
I mean,
you got it. I'm a little bit older than you, Brooke. I remember the time where everything was in the East.
Yeah,
it was all about Florida and Tennessee. And then the West, because I was in the time when Auburn and Alabama basically got each other for probation, and it was
right.
nuts. It was just the West was the weak side. LSU hadn't figured it out. They hadn't figured out how to keep the kids at home. So it's ebbs and flow. Now the one thing I will say about the SEC versus the ACC when they expanded years ago, the ACC built their thing. They built their conferences around 2 teams, Florida State and Miami, to make sure that they made it to the championship every year. Whereas SEC said, okay, this is what we're going to do. We're going to try to geographically load these teams where they are, and this is what it's going to be. If we got rivalries, we'll add those rivalries in it so they play every year and let it be. Kind of wish they kind of did it that way. They just said, okay, Oklahoma, Texas, y'all are going west. I know it kind of stacks the West, but there's ebbs and flow to this. And then I guess you leave Missouri in the East. No, you leave Missouri in the East because you're going to have most of the conferences to the West now. And you move because if you don't do that, you're going to move
Auburn and Alabama East.
Yeah, so I'm saying you're gonna have to move someone, so you can move out Auburn, Alabama East, and then have that. Yeah, that worked. Actually, that should have been that's the best idea. You move Alabama, Auburn East, and then a rivalry game LSU to Alabama every year because Tennessee's you can take that spot and it works out. There you go.
That would be man. What an Easter race! What an Easter race that would be when Auburn, Alabama, and
it'll
Georgia.
be, but now you got the other 2 quote unquote nationally ranked top 2 teams. You basically replace Alabama with 2 teams on the West that's supposedly perennial. So you'll have LSU, Texas, and Oklahoma. Powerhouses, right? Perennial powerhouses, right? And then on the East, you have Georgia and Alabama and 2 pretenders.
Right. You have one of them pop up every so often. You know what I'm saying? Like Georgia or Florida.
I'm pro. I'm pro just opening it up with no divisions because you run the risk with divisions of just having a really good team, not be able to get that chance to make it because there's another really good team in that division. So I think the pros outweigh the cons in this.
I'm the type of person you beat who you're supposed to beat. That's if you don't beat them, then it's shit out of luck.
Right.
I'm not one for the if they didn't have to play so, huh?
Was that Coach?
Florida State made an example. Be he supposed to beat? If not,
Yeah, but guess what? Florida State got screwed. I went on record to say Florida State got screwed. We all agree.
No. Don't say we all agree. Don't say that. Don't say we all agree.
I said Florida State got screwed.
Yeah. Don't say we all agreed on that. No. Because me and Mr. TJ, me and Mr. 401, we sat on there for an hour arguing that Florida State should be left off. Don't say that. Don't say we all agreed, because I sure didn't agree.
Because me personally, I was like, well, Florida State did it. They'll get the Notre Dame treatment. Every once in a while, Notre Dame find a way to get one upset. Well, they won't call it an upset because it's Notre Dame. Get one upset and then beat the rest of their so schedule, and all of a sudden they're going to go into the playoffs. I guarantee you, last year that was Notre Dame. They would have made it to the playoffs. Bama, whoever else would have just been sitting outside.
Does anybody else find it weird that Notre Dame can't get a bye in this playoff? Like, they just can't? That's wild to me.
Wait a minute, run it back. You said they cannot get a bye?
Notre Dame's the top 4 seeds get a bye, and they all have to be their conference champions.
Right. Oh, so yeah.
Notre
Okay.
Dame cannot.
Right.
They are just technically they can't get a bye. Like, that's just wild to me. And I don't know. I mean, that feels like that's maybe hurt their recruiting, right?
Let's see.
I mean, when you're Notre Dame, does it really hurt your recruiting?
I'm just hypothetically asking that question.
Yeah.
I feel like it might.
I mean, let's see if they can even.
Notre Dame's a brand. I get it. To me, that's just weird to me.
No, Notre Dame has probably probably the most well-funded college football programs there is. It's just way worse.
Oh yeah, and guys, SMU won as well.
So as they say, Notre Dame is God's team, so we got to do.
All right, but yeah, speaking of bye, Brooks, let's see if they can even get by their opponents and get there. But yeah, and y'all, you did bring up the playoffs, so that's interesting too. So, are you guys? I know we talked about it last season, but kind of previewed it going into for this year. But are you guys happy with this format now with 12 teams getting in? Is that going to dilute some of these upsets, like for example, the Georgia Tech win now? Because Florida State still technically it doesn't really hurt them. They can just go on another streak and still probably get in with 12 teams. So in the other format, they probably would have been out by now. You know what I'm saying? So how do you feel about it?
You starting with me?
Yeah, go ahead.
Yeah, I still don't care for it because the reason is other the teams doesn't help us. Like we had a conversation about this. Me, you, Mr. Brooks, and what's the other Georgia fan?
Oh, man. What's my boy, Brooks?
Aaron?
I don't remember.
Come on. Yeah.
Yeah, John.
Yeah, John, go ahead.
We all had that conversation before. Up in the teams doesn't solve nothing. It gives us more football and it just gives you a chance to see a good upset. But you know who's coming out of there. You know who the 14 is going to be. You know the top 4, the top 5. If anything, you should just make it 8 teams. Making it 12 just doesn't solve anything. My problem will always be the rankings. Until you fix the rankings and have a solidified top 25 that sounds reasonable, then I'll be okay with it. Because I'm going to still say this. Yeah, Michigan lost a lot of guys, but there's no way that I'm the number 1 team in the country. I should have been number 1 all last year, and now I'm the number 19 ranked in number 19 team ranked in the country. You can say playoffs all you want, because you're basically telling me I won a championship last year. Now, if it was still a 14 bracket, I'm out the playoffs because I'm number 9. And I just won a championship. And a lot of people didn't have to win the championship last year. They did what they were supposed to do. I had Michigan win the whole time. I just became biased because I'm an Alabama fan. So when Alabama came, I became fully biased. I can admit that. But it doesn't solve the fact that, like, I just don't feel like the 12 teams solve anything because you're just eliminating that people can get into the playoffs. Now the question gets the bottom teams, 10, 11, and 12. Why should they be there and why should other teams get in? Then it comes to the question of the top 14. Who should get a bye week? Who should this? Who should that? Like, if Georgia lose to Alabama and who they lose to, but somebody else lose to somebody else, why shouldn't Georgia get the bye, or why should Bama get the bye? It just becomes all that politics stuff. And until you see the actual rankings, I don't agree with the playoffs.
Well, I think the top 4 seeds, the teams that get a bye are the 4 highest ranked conference champions. I think so. I don't think there's any debate on who gets the bye. I think it's set in stone. That's how it is.
But the thing about the conference champions, right? Let's say last year, who did Florida State play? Was it Louisville?
They did play Louisville. Yeah.
So Louisville win. Louisville in that top 12. They get a champion. They get a bye. We agree with that.
Not if they're not ranked top 4. Not if they're not ranked top 4.
No.
They'd have to be the high. They have to be the highest. Yeah.
Highest.
So even they win the conference championship, if Florida State is higher ranked than them, they get the bye still.
Oh,
I mean,
everybody there?
Yeah, I mean, to me,
Yeah, I'm back. I'm back.
I mean, to me, it's the good thing about the 12-team playoff is you eliminate. You're not gonna, you eliminate having a really good team, not making the playoffs. Like Florida State last year, right? And now you're talking about, this is a solid team that doesn't make their way off. So you're gonna
a really good team. Are we gonna consider Florida State a really good team?
No, I was saying as far as the playoffs, there's not gonna be any more of this elite team not getting their shot. It's gonna be more of like a solid team. There's gonna be a tier below now.
And that's what I'm trying to get you to understand. Florida State wasn't elite. Maybe we can go to 8, 12, no, but Florida State wasn't elite. And the proper showcase was they went to Georgia and they left Georgia manhandled. And that's all I'm saying.
I mean, to me, I mean, you can debate the number. Like that's a money thing, right? College football wants to make more money. They want to put more games on the schedule. I mean, that's 12 teams. That has a lot to do with the money of it.
Yeah. We're going to have 16 teams watch.
Oh, it's going to keep going up.
It's going to be
it's going to keep going up.
Tournament, in 2035, we'll have 16 teams.
More money. I mean,
series. They went to a 3-game series. First to 2 wins.
Yeah. I mean, it's never going to go back down. It's only going to grow. I mean,
yeah. Then they'll be saying, well, the regular season doesn't mean anything, 10 years from now. But yeah, you can see it's a 12-team format. Again, it's pros. Yeah, it's pros and cons to it all. I guess we can get to see some playoff games on campuses now. I guess that will be interesting to see.
That is a good thing.
Yeah, that would be an interesting look. It's kind of an NFL type look. And speaking of that, gentlemen, there's some new rules in the college game. So speaking of NFL, they have the 2-minute timeout now. They kind of took the word warning out like the NFL used, but the 2-minute timeout. Do you guys like that? Do you like the? I guess it's like the helmet now, where they can talk to designated players through the speaker in the helmet. So you guys liking some of those new rules for this season?
I like the helmet. I do feel like the helmet is way better.
I mean, yeah, the helmet is cool. The 2-minute warning, 2-minute timeout. That's actually because that's money grab. That's just so they can have the damn commercials. But
there you go.
Part of it to me is it's two distinct type of games. You know what I'm saying? So I
Hmm.
don't want to wake up on a Saturday morning and watch a pro game. I want to watch college football. So
Interesting.
I mean, this is the old man in me, which I've come to grips with the fact that the bowls are gone. I like
Yeah.
the whole bowl era when the bowls actually meant something versus now. I mean,
Yeah.
you had the Pac-10 and the Big Ten. You knew we were going here. The SEC was going to the Sugar Bowl. You had, you know what I'm saying? It was,
I mean, yeah. I mean, that's a
but
good point. These
that's
bowl
all.
games
That's
are
all.
the bowl season's done. Like
Yeah.
they've gotten rid of
Yeah.
that. Because if you don't make the 12-team playoff, I mean, your kids are going to opt out, transfer, like sit out. I mean, those bowl games not going to be anything now.
No.
Yes. Exactly. And
They're
that.
also allowing tablets on the sidelines for the first time. They can only watch
Oh yeah.
in-game footage though. So I thought that was an interesting change as well. You always see the NFL players looking at their tablets and stuff, and now you're going to see that on the college sidelines too. So
Oh, so they're not able to look at
it's only in-game
some
footage.
other film, just in
I
game.
like they also specify if you show a ref's footage of their mistake, it's just a flag, which I thought was pretty funny.
Yeah,
They
that's
pointed
wild.
that out.
Yeah,
As it
and hey,
should be.
and they're even adjusting the hash marks. Like it seems like they're trying to lean. They get inching closer and closer to NFL, style. I guess of play, trying to implement a lot of those things, and so slowly but surely they're inching that game towards a pro look, if you will. And then there's
Just
that format again about the bye. The top four seeds. Uh,
the,
Have
the
the
you?
one
top five
thing.
highest ranked conference champions will
Right.
earn it. So if you're in the top five, if you're gonna earn four seeds. Okay, so there it is, guys. That kind of explains a little bit more.
Here's something interesting that I noticed. I maybe it was last year, but this year I noticed all the colleges have GMs now. Have y'all noticed that?
Hmm.
Look it up.
I, I have to look into that.
I don't know exactly how this is going, but I know.
Yeah,
I mean, I'm sure that's got to do a lot with the transfer portal and other
probably so.
scathing crooked shit that's going on. But it was dope. It was. I was watching something and the guy title was GM. I was like, what the? I said,
Wow.
maybe I misquoted. No, not director of recruiting. That's a different title.
It wasn't
GM.
GA.
GM.
Wow. Okay. Well, that's what I mean. Think about it. Like you have all these players. If they're not happy with something, they can leave. Right? You can leave. You don't have to sit out a
Yeah.
year and all that. And they're paying players now.
I get all that, but when you start the GM, a GM usually is in, how can I put it? Now you're literally GM is in charge of trades and contracts and blah blah blah.
Hmm.
You know what I'm saying? So
Yeah.
no,
And one more thing,
I
guys,
mean
before we
I guess
go.
what I'm saying is college football
Oh,
is
go ahead.
openly embracing the concept
Yes.
of this is going to be pro style. We have GM, we have trades, we have all the other
Yeah.
fun stuff going.
Yeah. It's not going to be what it once was, man. Those days are long gone now. Especially with players able to move the way they can now, and they're openly receiving gifts. They're openly getting paid. They openly are saying, "Hey, if I'm not happy here, I can go there." It's all about where can they go and how they can handle their brand. So it is becoming a professional sport, if you will. So one more thing though with the rule difference, I did notice this last night, and I only think about it in college, but like receivers, 1 foot. Would you like to see them have 2 feet
I want.
in?
Hey,
And,
I was waiting. I was waiting for y'all to say
No,
something. That's what I
nah.
want. No. College receivers should be able to do 2 foot. If you're going into
uh,
the NFL to do 2 foot, you should do 2 foot in college. I do not care. I get you have to
They're
adapt
not.
to
Well,
their
first of
rules.
all, we don't care where they're going. I don't
There are
care where
certain
they're
rules
going.
you can't change. There's certain rules that make
what?
college football kind of unique. That's one of them.
And
The
that's not that's
overtime rule. Don't
if you're
change the
going to the
overtime rule.
league, you put 2 feet down.
Going down. Also, like I think there's certain. The other one is like when you runner goes down, you don't have to be
Yeah,
contacted.
right.
Those
They already
I think
done.
those are the kind of rules that make college football a little bit more unique than the pro game and distinguish it. I don't think you should change anything like that. I think that's going too far.
I don't even think they should have changed the hash.
Hot Tony says facts, Kobe, and I agree.
Yeah.
With Mr.
Yeah.
Uh,
I like the two. I like getting 2 feet in bounds, but it's a
not.
separator. It's a separator. Like
Why
pros
do y'all?
get them two. They
Yeah,
know
it's
how
a
to
different
they know how to
game.
toe tap.
Prime example: Georgia Tech and Florida State game yesterday. It was a third down, third and long. DJ only threw a pass. If that receiver would have got 2 foot down, it would have been incomplete. He only got 1 foot down. You should be able to put 2 feet. Some of these top guys that we're looking at is going to the NFL. Guess what? In the NFL, you got to put 2 feet down. If you can't put 2
Notice
feet
what you
down,
said. Notice what you said. Going to the NFL. They're not in the
it doesn't
NFL.
matter. You should be able to put 2 feet down. If you're the best in the country, put 2 feet down. Simple as that.
I equate it to like moving the 3-point line back in NBA. Like, it's one of those slight adjustments. I don't think you need to bring it into the college game. I mean, it's not that big a deal. I just think there's a couple rules that make college football unique. That's one of them. I like it.
There's high schools putting 2 feet down. If you can't do it in college, I'm sorry. You're just not made for it. I'm like,
hey guys, there's one more rule too that I personally it separated college football from everything. And you have to go way back in the time machine to see this in the NFL, but they just recently changed it. And that's the numbers. Players wearing whatever number they want to wear. Like in college, I love to see a defensive tackle, nose tackle wearing number 0. You know what I'm saying? And in the NFL, it used to be where they had like designated numbers for your position, like whatever 22 to this is cornerbacks and running backs, whatever. But now the NFL, I think was it last season or maybe the year before?
Season before last.
Yeah, 2 seasons before they allowed players just to pick whatever number. Now I used to like when you didn't see that in the pro game, but in the college game you could see a linebacker wearing number 11 or something like that. So I wish they would have went back to that. And that's from the NFL side of things. I wish they would take that out. You know what I'm saying, and let colleges have that. But that's just my little take on that.
Well, I mean, the numbers thing originated from the forward pass, right?
Mm-hmm.
And it was basically designed around the offensive lineman. So if you had 50 to 79, you were basically an offensive lineman. You were designated on the offensive line. All the other number changes, who cares? It doesn't matter on defense because the defensive player can line up anywhere you want to. I've always and then so it's still that same way in college and pro. If you have this number, you're an offensive lineman. You're on offense, unless you rate yourself eligible to everybody. It's whatever. And that was basically a rule that was implemented for the referees. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah. It was.
It was basic, but as far as a number 8 nose tackle, it doesn't matter on the defense. So I've always not liked that part of the NFL, and then the NFL just got too administrative when they said only the quarterbacks can wear 1 through 19, and then the DBs and running backs was 21 through 49. That was just a little bit too much, and wide receivers had to wear
80s.
81 up.
80s.
81 up.
Disagree with that. The 80s was just wasn't it from the wide receivers. Like, come on, man. The 80s wasn't it.
The worst college rule to me is the targeting. Like throwing a player out. Like I don't agree with that. Like that could change the structure. I mean, that could change the momentum of a game really quick. Man, you toss a player out. I mean, like make it like you get 2 or something. Like
I just don't like
that.
I don't like.
I tend to
and defense, and they're so quick to throw the flag.
Like the targeting thing should be more or less because now they got a definition of targeting, right? And I think sometimes I know everybody likes to have rules uniform, but sometimes there's a level of letting human perception or opinion to affect versus saying, "Oh yeah, that's targeting." No, because there's always so much stuff into it. It could be, it's like it's a one step, one boom boom target, but it ain't really targeting. The guy slipped, he dropped where he literally was trying to hit the player. If the player dropping, it just so happened to be high. It sucks, but that's where it's just uniformly saying this is targeting. If the crown of the if you hit with the crown of the helmet, well, if you're reading blocks, you're stepping over players, and you catch another player and you fall forward and you make a tackle with the crown of the helmet, is it targeting? Well, according to the rules, it is, but there's other circumstances that are added to that particular situation. Some of the digital and making everything uniform has kind of taken the human perception out of the game, which on some levels, yes, replay's cool, but on other levels, let's still some of the best things about colleges or professional sports is being able to talk 10 years later about that damn referee. That's part of the legend and the pageantry of the game. You know what I'm saying?
So, how do we feel about the no hip drop tackle?
Well, I think a lot of these rules, some of these rules put into place are for the safety, health and safety of the players, and probably some lawsuits and all that kind of stuff down the line, and healthcare and all these other things that, to me, I think they probably did that more of a safety thing. And there's a lot of talk about, and we're gonna do a show about that one day down the line, but about how football participation. They're concerned about the level of participation with football due to injuries and CTEs and head injuries, and now you're talking about hip injuries and all this stuff. Just like the horse collar tackle, right? There used to be a time you could tackle like that. They took that away, and then what's the gator roll that you have to do? You can't just pancake somebody and all this. So to me, it just adds to the list of another way of them trying to let everyone know that we're trying to make the game safe as possible. But Corey, you tackle
Also,
people. So what was your deal on that?
a lot of it also is in if you limit it, how a defender can tackle a person, that inadvertently does what? It
Oh, the
it
score goes up.
increase exactly. So
Hmm.
you can't blatantly say that we're trying to make it so that the scores go up, but in there it's and the biggest names in college football, pro football, or in football in general are going to be the quarterbacks, the wide receivers. You see running backs not even so much anymore, and then and your quote unquote rush your pass rushing ends, and then maybe a cornerback or somebody like that. You know what I'm saying?
Yep, look right
The
there.
game.
Hot Tub Tony says it all right there. It's
And
getting closer and
I
closer to that.
see.
At some level,
This is where I disagree with like that, because I have pains to this day because I've been in the game and took the
Understood.
damage over my body.
You were just a
That
knucklehead. Well, you were just a knucklehead. You were just
Yeah,
doing
but my
knucklehead.
thing about it is I have like a lot of the rules, like some of the rules for safety targeting.
Yeah.
Well, not so much targeting, but uh, hitting with the crown of your helmet. A lot of the remember the NFL crunch course?
I do.
Okay, I am one of those people that believe that legislating that part of the game out was a good idea, I don't really see the point of going out there just to just crash course dummies. You know what I'm saying? Yeah, it's cool watching the big hits, but when you start seeing these guys at 40 and 50, and I know everybody's going to say, well, they chose to do this, they chose to do this. Well, okay. But we always talk about sometimes people don't have other circumstances to do. This is what they do. So legislating safety into the game, I have no problem with. But when it gets to
Hmm.
the ridiculous point of whereas, okay, you can't hit a quarterback high. I get it. You don't really because I remember Joe Montana, my favorite quarterback of all time. Every year, one of them damn Giants gave him a concussion, even though I'm not a 49ers fan. Every year, the playoffs went like this when they was on their run. If one of them damn Giants or gave Joe a concussion, the Giants won the Super Bowl. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
I mean, you think about it. That's maybe, but when it got to the point where you can't hit them high, you can't hit them low, you gotta try to hit them in this sweet spot. You can't grab around the shoulders. It gets a little much. I get it. Yeah, grabbing somebody by the jersey and slinging them 5 feet. That's not really a healthy way of going down. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
The horse collar, I understand it to a point. If you catch a guy by his shoulders in the tuck of his shoulder pads from behind and snatch his behind down, gonna blow out a knee. I'm kind of leery on that one because that's kind of like flukish. You know what I'm saying? But the hip thing and all, yeah, it's getting a little bit much. Because the
Yeah.
reason it's like, and I've learned over the years when you told defensive linemen to stop hitting high, all of a sudden you had all these quarterbacks with these broken legs and ACLs
Getting hit
because the
low.
linemen were
Yep.
just yeah. So now you move it up to the midfield.
Yeah.
We'll figure it out. I mean, as long as the game is growing in popularity, they're going to continue to put the rules.
Yep. Yeah, that's well stated. All right, gentlemen. Yeah. Anything else that you had to say, Brooks?
No, I was going to say there's a fine line. From just a fan perspective, you want your defense to play on instinct and reaction. And there's a fine line between making all these rule changes and having defenders disadvantaged because they have to think so much about where to
Exactly.
tackle.
That's
That
where
is just
that's
a fine
exactly
line.
where I lie, bro.
There's something like, of course, leading with the helmet. That's an easy rule change. That teaches proper tackling. But at some point, you can go too far, and you're gonna you make the game a little uneven, right, for the defenders.
Yeah.
So I just think that's why I draw the line. I still, defense is a lot about instinct and reaction, and you go too far with these rule changes, and you're going to take that away from the defenders.
Yeah.
But I mean, like the thing about the form tackling has changed because when I came along, you heads up and you put your nose in their chest. That was form tackling,
Right.
right? But now it's your shoulder, and the side
Yeah.
effect is you notice you have a lot more shoulder injuries because you
Yeah.
couldn't teach kids to not keep their head up. So
Yeah.
it
True
is
that.
what it is.
Oh yeah. All right. Well, man, what a spirited show today. Way to get things started. Oh, and we look forward to the season. Man, there'll be some more games this week, so we'll get together and chop it up as we continue on with this journey and to find out who eventually the champions are going to be. All right. Well, for Cole from the Low and Coy and Brooks, the showcase. By the way, I see Brooks at the fantasy football draft later on.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. So just don't pick my guys, man.
Mm-mm.
All right. Well, I'm 4-1. Thank everybody for tuning in. We'll catch you all on the other side next week. Oh yeah, appreciate you there, Hot Tub, for the comment. And by the way, thank Hot Tub Tony for joining. You'll see
What's
him.
up, Tub?
You're gonna see Tub today too, because there's gonna be an episode today coming up within the next hour about the state of the boxing and sports in general, with a new regime wanting to step into the sports world. So we're going to talk about that in a few. And also shout out to Nard from the Nard Report. Make sure you check out the Nard Report. Check him out on TikTok, Instagram, all the social media platforms. He's on all of them. He does a great job. So big shout out to Nard and the Nard Report too. And by the way,
Whatever, Nard.
anonymous.
They rank number one.
Uh-oh, yeah, he's the big UGA guy. And by the way, you got damn good dogs that is the host on that show is Brooks Case. So I'll go to 41 Sports World Network. Make sure you check out Damn Good Dogs. That's a damn good show right there. Brooks goes into detail with the on the Georgia Bulldogs, man. So that I love being on that show with him, and we have a great time there as well. All right, everybody enjoy the rest of your day, and we'll catch you on the other side. We out of here. Nice picture, Corey.